get underway, and the loser of those best of threes, they go home on day one of the major. Sucks to suck. Lost starting out on the defensive side here on Oregon. It's going to be Talon kicking things off on the attack, and here we go into operator bans.
Well, let's get ready, see who we are going with. Lost just having a little bit of a think about it, get it locked in, and they're going to be taking
getting
it lost in. Dokkaebi will be our first attacker ban. Not one that we see banned out too much, but again, very understandable. You know, just such a disruptive operator, that global ability, you know, able to really disrupt any roam game going on, which we've seen a lot more of over the last sort of 6-12 months on Oregon, getting out in the map, particularly around kitchen, dining, getting up onto top floor, even for those basement defenses, playing around attic, playing around pit, you know, all sorts going on out on the roam, so could be a good shout. Yeah,
Liang as well, a similar story, especially for executing down into the basement. Kaid banned away just to stop that E-box hatch getting locked up nice and tight and having to bring Thatcher pretty much every single round. Very, very welcomed. Our last ban coming out from the side of Lost here on the defensive side is going to be that Fenrir. Saw it banned away in our first game of the day as well.
Yeah, I think we're going to see probably a reasonable ban rate for Fenrir at the major, if I had to guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of, the thing is
Solis,
though, it's allowing
Fenrir, you know,
yeah, Solis, Fenrir as army are going to be, you know, 3 of the big ones, but it's allowing operators like Mirror to come back into, you know, I won't necessarily say the meta, but certainly into being used a lot more frequently than we've, you know, been used to seeing over the past 6-12 months or even longer for Mirror. So yeah, I like that. You know, it just gives us that little bit of variety. We get those operators coming back in. Mirror has been selected for this first round. You know, one of those operators that can really change a site, can really make, you know, the sites that are difficult, make them much, much more viable.
Well, here we go. Round one underway between Lost and Talon. The defensive side starting out in the basement, as you've seen. And we've got Cameraman coming along on the Kavira. Now, Cameraman, it's worth mentioning, only joined this team about 6 months ago. It's been the change that really has taken a bit of time to settle again. Not the best results in stage 2 initially. Did just fine when it came round to the LCQs and have got themselves here. Ultimately, this, though, is going to be a very telling round, I think, on exactly what kind of world Talon are stepping into. I think Lost really should be coming in with this with a lot of confidence. It's not to say that Talon are a bad side. I completely disagree with anyone who thinks that as well. They have got a lot of capability, but you are against an extremely good team here. And Cameraman already upstairs trying to be a little bit troublesome, Tim. Being a bit of a devil, dare we say, off on the roam.
Yeah, this is it. You know, and it's no surprise. Lost ban out the Dokkaebi and then send the Kavira out on the roam. You know, they're just playing into the game plan that they've set up from the very beginning there. You know, you mentioned Cameraman coming in. Obviously, Lost didn't make it to the Copenhagen Major. I'm not saying they've now made it to this one because Cameraman's come in. But what we've got to do is look, you know, back at his career. He came into the MIBR side from FaZe a couple of years ago, before the roster was then sort of picked up by FaZe, you know, at a later date. But he came into that MIBR roster, a roster that was struggling a little bit at the time, was just playing with sort of hyper aggression. He came in, he offered some stability, some more of a tactical edge, and we saw them ultimately under the FaZe banner then, that same team, go on to win the November Major that was in Sweden in 2021. So I'm looking at this and thinking, have we got a similar sort of timeline here potentially for Lost, where Cameraman comes in, given 6 months, is just, you know, changing that structure a little bit. Rise has moved off to be an analyst. You know, are we going to see that big breakout moment for this team behind him?
I love our Cameraman, just by sheer virtue of showing himself inside a bedroom here, as well as forced Talon to really slow things down. They had 4 players on drones. They were holding angles, making sure everything is clear. Really, it's taken them half the round to ensure that the rest of the map is safe and they can actually look on getting downstairs. The problem being, there are still a couple of players off-site here that they have not droned out and could end up giving them a real backstab if they're not careful. I think it's Dots who's playing off on the Solis, and we've also got Cameraman, I think, looking to dart his way around and cause a little bit of bother. So don't feel that Talon have got an easy ride towards site here. It's bare chances they're going to get shot in the back at some point.
More than likely, if they don't deal with that, Seora just trying to challenge from down the bottom of Laundry Stairs, has got the Twitch down there with him as well. Ryder just taking a little peek. They need to be very careful here. They're bouncing in and out of cover here, but they're doing it in front of and behind each other. And there's always that possibility for a stray bullet hitting a teammate, and that's the last thing that they're going to need. We've got a bit of utility raining in. They're trying to create that space to push forward. Here comes the challenge from Highway, but no, Lost just forced back a little bit there.
Timing as well. The delay on the Twitch push is absolutely beautiful. beautiful. They walk in and try and get the kills they can. They've walked away with 3 of them on side, make it a 4th. Maya left standing, goes to 1, finds a 2nd as well. Has to reload, though. Will get put down by Misa on the other side. Great start. I mean, for Talon, again, I really thought for a second they'd get themselves really caught up trying to take Meeting, but they decided to abandon that entire north side of the map, left Big Tower, left Meeting, and did everything through Freezer and Laundry. A little bit of a risk, because normally you do want some pressure on that top side, but when the push came through, you saw the sort of delay coming out from the Twitch, just waiting for movement to happen somewhere, and catches the Cav essentially for free. Unexpected by the side of Loss, and they lose round 1 down in the basement. Tim will be a bit of a kicker, as that normally is a bit of a fortress down there.
Yeah, it's a great start for Talon. You know, as we said, this is a team that you may not be too familiar with. You know, they've been in and around, you know, top tier Siege for a long time. We've
cast them for about the last 3 years.
Yeah, we've cast them for years in the you know, in the APAC leagues as they were then, and you know, they're playing in the Korean league now. You know, they're a team that is full of players more than familiar. The roster has seen some changes, but still plenty of names in there that we know from you know, across that sort of top tier Siege. So they are no slouchers, that much is for sure. So coming in here, they could be you know, one of those teams that open a few eyes potentially, you know, for everybody watching them. So Talon picking themselves up that first round. Great start for them, as you say, particularly attacking onto the basement. Loss looking at that thinking, you know, we should be able to lock this site down. We need to get this done. This is our primary site. They're going to head back there again.
Absolutely. I mean, looking again at Talon, there's a couple of changes they made in the summer, which was JLT and Ryder joining them. I think it was back in August. So changes to a small level. I guess really changing 40% of the team isn't a small change by any stretch of the imagination. But as you say, there is some experience here in Misa. Roy Boy was the sub for Damwon Kia, now known as D+. So there are known quantities on this team. But what I'm nervous about is, again, it took 90 seconds in that last round by a small flicker of a Roma causing a little bit of bother for them to then actually get anywhere near the site. They kept it very nice and narrow, went direct to site, like I said, via Freezer and then via Lobby. That was nice, but I do feel Lost will have the ability to play a bit more aggressive and just try and hit them in the mid-round when they're trying to get set up for a site, because at least from round 1, Talon do look a bit slow.
Misa going to be working across that top floor, obviously recognising that the roam did cause them a little bit of a delay last time. They didn't suffer to it, really, but again, it's just something that they've dealt with well here. They've gone in, they've got that full map control. There is still one player for Lost that's just out on the roam at the minute. You can see all the way back across in Big Tower there. So just something that Talon need to be cautious of, need to be careful. We can see there is the potential for them to move back across that top floor if they've got access to the attic, but for the time being, Talon, they're not worrying about that too much. They've got everything locked down. They're going to be taking the fight, and they should have worried about it a little bit more. As I said, Dots was not picked up on the Aruni, moves in with the Mark 14, gets himself an opener onto Siora, and that is a good start for Loss in this round.
Just on his way back down towards site as well, yeah, down main stairs, not droned out despite Dots being sat there in the previous round on the Solus. They haven't dealt with that. Loban here gets a second one. That's Misa taken offline. It's, you know, not so good for Talon, but this is what I said in the mid-round. I really thought we could see Lost get up in their faces a little bit, cause a bit of disruption, because Talon have been very slow on the roam clear and, truthfully, not very methodical about it. They've not got flank drones set up, for example, and it has caught them in the first round a little bit by enabling Cameraman back towards site. Now you've got Dash at the bottom of the stairs, just easily taking out a one. No attempt at a trade coming through. This is looking like a flawless round almost, Tim. If not for Ryder finding one, finding a second, but he's still got 3 more to go through.
Likely to be impactless kills, realistically, moving in. There's a bulletproof cam straight ahead of him that doesn't seem to be being used at the minute, which, there we go, we can see the light coming on now, so they're going to know exactly where Ryder is. They're just feeding his positioning permanently. He was more than likely being red pinged throughout that as well. Going to be challenged from Freezer door. Lost close it out nicely, and we've seen 2 very different rounds there. Talon did a great job attacking in the first round, but Lost come back. They adapt and overcome in round 2, get that done. That second round does make me worry for Talon a little bit. You know, as we said, coming in here, new team, haven't played against you know, a LATAM opponent before, I don't believe, you know, from looking through. So this is a first for them, first at a major. You know, there's all sorts of lessons that they're going to have to learn, and they're coming up against a team who, you know, are experienced in that. Particularly Cameraman, he's one of our most experienced players at the tournament, realistically. You know, and so it's not going to be easy for them. And that last round was very, very different from loss. It looked almost easy. So Talon need to be careful that we're not seeing too many more rounds like that.
You know me, Tim. I always like to give 2-3 rounds to see a team really settle into the game, or for both teams to settle in, get a feel for each other. Okay, what's the status quo here? What is it we've got to try and deal with? And again, for Talon, it's been a bit slow, and I think Lost didn't expect that level of slowness in round 1 and just got caught on the back step by it a little bit. They adapted in round 2, but now we get to change site and see how Talon fare with going to a site that you can go a little bit more direct to. You haven't got to do a full map clear, but you may have to be fearful of the below, especially if there is a C4 operator playing down there, of which Lost in this round at least have none. So that is one problem ticked off Talon's list.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to have at least a presence underneath, so you don't necessarily need the Nitro. You just want to be able to play underneath this area that Lobin's stood in right now. You want to be directly below it. So if there's any push comes in through double window, you can deal with it from kitchen. You can open up the plant spot, everything else. They've got the Aruni down there with the Mark 14, so that gun does a pretty good job of opening up floorboards and things like that and creating that line of sight. So I think they're going to be happy enough with that down there. But Misa is going to go in and take out Dots. Another good start for Talon. But Maya's there to find one onto Ryder, so all even after the first minute.
I think Maya was holding out towards Armory. I remember when Oregon first got reworked, we saw a lot of Latam teams trying to hold inside of Armory. Bit of a change coming over here as nades coming below. Maya almost finished off from below by those nades. I think actually it was the impacts coming out from the Zofia, but almost put in the dirt. They're down to just 2, and Talon have basically picked off 2 or 3 players without barely setting a foot inside the building, Tim.
Yeah, this is the response that we needed to see out of Talon. As I said, coming in, that last round looked too easy for Loss, and I was a little bit concerned. And Talon, as I said, couldn't allow them to have too many like that, and they're certainly not doing. 4 versus 2. You got Maya on low health as well. This is there for the taking for Talon. This should definitely be another round 1, but the important factor there is it's not just another round, it's another sort of primary choice site. I know it wasn't Loss's first choice, but there's no real difference between basement and dorms, so Talon coming and taking this as well really does send a message. Maya just trying to hold on at the minute, but shut down from the top of white stairs. Misa moves across, cannot find his man. Cameraman gets 1, he's going to need 3 more, cannot find any as Roy Boy shuts him down, and that is going to see Talon back in the lead, 2-1.
You're well caught by our observer. I believe it's Easy we've got on the sticks today, but he there in that spot saw that drone that we just saw scan across both sites. It saw both players. One's just coming through the rotation, one sat behind bunk. There's 4 of us. Let's just go and kill them, and they worked it out absolutely beautifully. So good patience being shown there towards the end of the round by Talon, and Loss, I imagine, have got a couple of things here that they need to have a chat about. I know how the second round went, it went well, but the first and the third round, I think, shown a bit of weakness where Talon could really actually do some damage in this half.
I think I would completely agree with you. Loss, as much as I said, Talon need to be careful not to let Loss just start chaining easy rounds together. I think Loss needs to be careful that they don't let this get away from them. As I've said, this is Talon's first time at a major. It's really a situation now where they're kind of an unknown quantity for some teams. And, we've seen this out of, particularly, out of their region where teams come along and aren't really, too much heard of on the international stage. And all of a sudden they just come in, look at Scars. Last time around, they just come in and have this fantastic tournament and really surprise everybody. Run. I'd love to see that for Talon.
Absolutely. Well, we've got the Oster coming along in this round, so I'm keeping a close eye on that one from Ryder. Normally dictates where the action, or at the very least the plant, is going to happen in these rounds. He has got the diffuser in back pocket, so it is your go-to carbon copy, dare I say, attack of this site. Commonly see teams try and open up both the tier 3 wall and the tier 2 wall. I mean, it helps if you manage to get rid of someone that early on. That's 2 nades offline. It's the vertical destruction, the sledge gone. Bit of a stinger at the start of the round for Talon that may put a bit of a dent in their plans.
Yeah, I think we're just going to see a game here that just bounces back and forth, to be honest. They've got a great setup here on the T3, just Dots there with the Azami, showing again why Azami is one of those popular bands, can just really shape an area of the map to their will, really, to be able to create that extra cover and just make it very difficult to be moved. I mean, we're a minute in, 2 kills now. Dots managing to find Misa as well. This is going to be very, very difficult for Talon to push forward from here because they're not going to be able to get rid of Dots in this position.
But the thing is, they lost Roy so early, the nades being gone. JLC is the only one really able to get in here and do some damage, and I think finally he's played catch-up. But like in that first round, it's taken a good 60 seconds for Talon to figure out an action plan to deal with this setup. He's done all the work that he needs to. You've got Dash collecting another as well. Beautiful round by Lost and Talon. They just look utterly bewildered by what's just slapped them around the face.
This is it, you know, you put so much attention and pressure in towards dealing with Dots there that you don't see, you know, you're looking at the left hand, you don't see the right hand coming with a haymaker, and bang, you get caught. And that's exactly what's happened. 4 versus 2 now, as Lost are going to be looking to close this one out. But it really is, you know, back and forth in these rounds, just teams really dominating one way or the other. Ryder sees the man inside a trophy taking that peak, and just need to be cautious there, really. The Legion of Dash doesn't need to overextend here, can just keep burning time, and that's exactly what he's doing. A perfect job, down to a minute now, and Talon need to be finding some kills quickly.
Dash can just waste time here, but they can't hit sight like this, even with the hard breacher and the Oster still on side. They need vertical control for this to work, which is why they're now having to try and push their way through. And Lost have read into this. A drop's coming on through. It's going to be an absolute slaughter. Ryder will get one back, but 45 seconds left in a 1v3. I think we tend to know how these end up, Tim.
I love that positioning from Lobin. He's just playing himself hard left of where we're looking now, because he knows that that drop cannot come through without him seeing it, but also that he can't be challenged from that angle because there's a brick wall next to it. So just great map knowledge coming in. Cameraman's going to pick up that final kill, and that is going to be another round for the Lost. 2-2 now. And I want to say an even matchup so far, and it is even in terms of the scoreline, but the rounds have just been extremely one-sided, really, in both directions.
It's been very, like you say, back and forth, 1 for 1 for 1 for 1 so far. I do think when it comes down to the... I don't even want to say the change in tack, because obviously that round just there, round 4, was a completely different sight to what we've seen in the first 3. But when Lost come in with a game plan that Talon just looked completely lost by, and they know how to punish Talon for the mistakes that they make along the way. Again, it took 60 seconds to get a nade-based operator able to challenge that tier 3 player. Talon are really slow when they get into a spot where they can't deal with what's in front of them, or they're not quite sure how to deal with it in the moment. So I think Lost are really starting to benefit from that by punishing them and playing around that slowness a little bit. For me, Talon, you've got to go a little bit quicker here as well and really look to capitalize on the gaps that you open up in Lost's defenses.
Here we go then. Round 5 it will be. We're back down to basement for Loss. Interesting, really, that their third choice site has been the only one that they've won first time, essentially, there coming in. But I guess for the attacking side, you know, you maybe not always planning too much on those attacks because you might not even use them. Essentially, you're looking at that first and second choice site, which Talon have done so well on so far. Last time we played down in basement, Loss did very, very well. Talon didn't really get too close in round 2, so they don't want to be losing the entry battle this time, you don't feel. Last time they just allowed the Aruni, it was, to just get away from them. It was Dots moving down those rear stairs that was able to pick up that opening kill, and it all really fell apart from there, so they need to deal with the roam game just a little bit more effectively.
For me, really, in that first round, again, it came down to really narrowly defining what part of the map they wanted and taking that control alone and then hitting sight. They didn't worry about trying to full clear it, whereas here, it looks like at least they're doing the full droning out again. They, last time around, obviously had to try and deal with a Kavira. Not quite the case this time round, and that reinforcement, well, that wall was reinforced off last time. Here, it's open, so they may be a little bit fearful that someone from Lost can do a little bit of damage if they don't respect that.
Dash we saw in this position last time around with the Warden, of course, has the glasses that can see through smoke, see through flash, can clear those effects. My glasses, unfortunately, do not do that, but they do allow me to see the world in HD, Des.
It does help.
It is helpful, and my eyes are getting worse in my old age, I will tell you that. I noticed that yesterday. I noticed it this morning when I was trying to watch the screen in the green room. I was trying to watch one of the games and I thought, I cannot see this writing anymore. I never used to have to watch with my glasses on, but I've got to the point where I do, unfortunately. Age is very slowly starting to overcome me, Des.
It comes.
I know I've fought against it for years, and you've met all your old jokes, and I've laughed them off. I've said, give it a rest, but it really is.
Now it's here.
My
just like the Talon execute, as they've now got themselves control around the top of Freezer, slowly forcing their way back. 3 or 4 of them all squared up around Freezer here, Tim. A little bit precarious about them all trying to push into one spot, but you can see the reaction from Lost. Everyone has backed away and just said, hey, look, if you want to throw 3 or 4 operators at Freezer, you take it. We can play other areas very comfortably here. And again, I'm looking for who's trying to push on the north side because they ignored it last time. You've got Royboy, Misa, and Sayora now all up that side of the map, so things are looking good. We've got a little bit of a different attack coming in from Talon. This could catch Lost by surprise if they aren't respectful of it.
Could do, going to open that electrical hatch. That might just change things a little bit in terms of that defending dynamic. But interestingly, Dots has moved away along with Cameraman into bunker and elbow. So they're really trying to hold on from that. If they try to push down rear stage stairs, that's going to be something that they have to deal with here. Misa is not going to have a free path into sight, and on that basis, he's going to move away back into meeting. But yeah, definitely stacking up against Laundry. We saw that last time coming out of Talon, so I just feel like they might be prepared for this. Out goes the smoke canister just to prevent that push coming through. 14 seconds left to go. It's going to be Lost to open things up. Maya, Lobin, Maya, Cameraman, that is job done. Inside a second, I could barely read the names quick enough, Des. They close it out. That's a flawless round, and that is Lost going 3-2, taking the lead for the first time.
It really feels now that they've got that read on Talon. Again, that was a slower round once again, and they've done enough to waste the time, to sort of force Talon around the map to the stage to get a little bit desperate. And you saw the drone game coming through as well. It was really good from Talon. 2 or 3 players figuring out exactly what's going on the bottom half of that ground floor, the basement, inside of Oregon. And with Misa trying to, I guess, rotate late as well, they were looking to find the answer, find something that could really break open that north side of the map, but it just simply wasn't to be. Far too comfortable for the side of Lost here, and you could just see that shooting range lining up inside of Freezer. Maya with a little 1-2, left, right, step, easy closeout. And Talon, again, it feels they've been figured out a little bit here. If this doesn't end 4-2, I will be very surprised.
Yeah, but the thing is, every time a round has been won, you've sort of felt like that team has got to go on and win another. Yeah. But they haven't been able to. Nobody's won back-to-back rounds yet, apart from Loss in Meeting and then Laundry. But, you know, in terms of having that great round and just doubling down on it, it's not really been a common factor of this game. So let's see if Loss can do that, get 3 in a row. And you feel that really sets them up well for the second half. Then Talon, you know, they're probably going to feel a little bit hard done by. They've had, you know, some good passages of play. They've had a couple of good rounds, but they come away 4-2 down and feeling like they've been battered in the, you know, the second half there. So it could be a tough one to lose.
I mentioned earlier on how when Oregon first got reworked, we saw we saw a lot of armory holds coming out from the LATAM teams. That did drop off over time, but with the introduction of Azami, for example, it does make it suddenly a lot more defendable. With the castle, with the shields, with the Aruni, just everything to slow the side of Talon down. And Lobin saying, well, forget about the utility. When a gun does just as well, why worry too much? And he's already found 2. Getting rid of the Zofia, that's a lot of soft destruction gone, and also getting rid of the Finker, the heals, the nades taken offline. That's a bit of a stinger.
Certainly is. Sayora going to be looking to peek in from Master Door. Just taking out those barricades. Again, the Azami just burning, you know, so many different functions for the Azami. Not just about creating cover, not just about making it difficult to push in, but burning utility as those barricades need to be dealt with before the push can come through. Sayora just looking for that challenge into Armory Corridor. Isn't able to find the angle that they want, but a lot of pressure on the Azami here from multiple sides.
This honestly is really where I would have hoped to see Talon go and push on towards big window side instead, or pushing through showers and nade from below, things like that. But they are playing straight into the setup coming out from Loss on the east side of the map. They haven't even taken over Trophy halfway into the round. Lobin's having an absolute field day with a 3K for himself, up to 7-3 goes. Again, this one feels done and dusted, but I can't help but feel like Talon have really done this themselves, to be honest, Tim.
Yeah, it's certainly looking that way. Maya is going to pick up Sayora, and that is now 5 versus 1. Ooh, couple of kills come in quickly for Royboy, so he's doing what he can here. Leaves himself 3v1. Plenty of time left on the clock. It's not going to be easy, though, because now what you're going to see is Loss just sitting back into angles. So with a player like Cameraman on side, he's going to be in the ears, no doubt, saying, look, we don't need to push this. We don't need to challenge. We know exactly where he's coming from. We've got the bulletproof cam. We've got the info. You know, we see everything. There you go, Dots. He's going to pick up that final kill onto Royboy. The other 2 just hiding themselves away, knowing that they didn't need to get over aggressive there. And that's going to be the round closed out for Loss. 4-2 now, and starting to look a little bit more comfortable for the Brazilian side. Yeah,
I remarked on it when it came about, but the real heavy, like, armory side hold, when you see that much utility being invested, you know, a couple of laser gates, a couple of shields, they had the trophy one and also the one in the armory hall. They had just everything stacked out that way, keep a barricade, you name it. and they still try and push their way into that after losing 2 players early on. There's probably a point at that where you look at it and go, let's cut our losses and not go into all that utility stack and instead try and go from the west side. And I think back to how some teams like in Europe, I think about M&M as a great example. They love attacking in from small tower side and working their way in from the west, making use of vertical nades, pushing in through white, for example, and then looking to rotate players into different angles a little bit later down the line, or at least later into the round. Whereas Talon have already just ran headfirst into a very dangerous setup from Lost One. So I think despite a couple of, I'd wager, upsets to Lost One, they probably would have been a bit disappointed they lost those 2 rounds. It does feel like the LATAM side are firmly in control. And as you can see, we are in a quick technical timeout.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I think looking at what we've seen so far, Talon have done well to get themselves a couple of rounds, but overall, I think experience might just win the day for Loss here. You know, as much as the Talon players, they've got plenty of play time at top tier Siege under their belts. This is a little bit of a different ball game, playing on LAN, playing, at a major, and you've coming up against a team that have got a major winner on side who's going to be calling a lot of those shots. And Lost just starting to look a little bit more comfortable here. Jesus. And that's the sort of kill that tells you that they're starting to look a little bit more comfortable. We've had, absolutely beautiful from Lob in there. We've had that a couple of times where they've just got those openers through getting aggressive onto windows. They're happy to take those challenges. They threw a flawless round in there in round 5 as well. So yeah, for me, Lost looking like they were in good control of the map, good control of the game. In that first half, so very important that Talon come out with an early round win on the defense here, I'd say.
I've got to say what bit Talon, I think, throughout the entirety of that first half as well was the drone work, right? Like back in round 1, you saw them not really having the full sniff onto Dots, who was playing up in T3. I think Cameraman they managed to force back, but again, it took them 90 seconds to really drone things out before they finally started even thinking about the site. That's a lot when no one, except Dots in T3, who may as well be in Narnia because the wall in towards Attic was reinforced, no one can really disrupt them, but they were really slow on it. And I think in the replays just there with Lobin's 3K, you saw the same. It was a lot of blind 1v1s being taken, no early drones in the prep phase being set up to pick up that someone had got inside a classroom or was even rotating outside of it. And it has made them pay the price. That is something we sorely need to see fixed before their future games here at the Major. Their last one later, their best of 3. If they lose this game, that will be their very last one here. So something to rectify pretty quickly today. Now we get the side switch though, and Talon move onto the defensive side. Tim, I always say there are 2 halves to a game of Siege. You could see a very different Loss and a very different Talon coming out in the second half.
Oh, absolutely so. I mean, if you look at what Talon are doing, they've got the mute, they've got the Solace, so expect to see them trying to starve Loss of information. Keep an eye, something for you to watch at home. Top left of your screen, you've got the drone count there.
Already 4
look
down.
At that
Solace,
already.
that
4 down because the Solace has been hammering them. So only 6 drones left at the start of the, the action phase. That's a big loss for Loss already, let alone the more that are going to get picked up. They can't get the ones they have got into key areas because of the mute jammers that aren't just going to block the walls off, they're going to block those entrance paths for drones, so they're going to have to go in and face check things. They've then got Ryder, who's going to take the opportunity when it presents to hunt down more of them. So Loss are going to be working, with much less information than they might like in this round.
They are expecting 10,000 jump outs or run outs to come through, but Talon, as you can see through the orange outlines on your screen, are quite dug into the map here and not really looking to try and get too cheeky. I think for Loss with the Monty on side as well, it's hardly the end of the world if you do lose a number of drones in the round, because Monty can serve as the intel gatherer behind the safety of a shield. So I think him being on side here for Loss is going to be a pretty big impact in this round. The question then really comes in, what can they do with the ability to flank? Looking towards players like Ryder here on the Solace, getting out and busy, because for the most part, Loss are just looking at going direct in towards site here. They're inside bedroom, for example, marching their way in towards Trophy. They're already looking at the site 60 seconds into the round, Tim.
Yeah, and that's something that Talon need to be aware of, Des, because they've got 2 players downstairs off-site, so they could well find themselves sort of short-handed in there. They're going to play, it looks like, for the vertical denial as well. Of course, Ryder will be able to see if they start to plant that diffuser using his gadget. He's got impact nades in hand, which he can blow out the floor from underneath and try to make that challenge. It looks like something that they're going to commit to. Misa is going to be taking out those charges as well that are trying to open up the wall, so they are going to get the line of sight there, but it's not going to be easy for them to open up anything that they can get vaulted through unless they do something about Misa.
I mean, Ryder's been hanging around, trying to look to push his way down towards Classroom to cause a bit of bother from below, and the plank comes on through. He's actually under there right now. I don't know if Cameraman is aware that he's managed to sneak his way downstairs here. There is a drone at the very, very top, but that spray coming in upstairs. Ryder finds Lobin. Beautiful stuff. And as much as I said about Talon not really dealing with roamers, Lost are exactly the same when it comes round to the problem, Tim.
It's no surprise, given that they've had so many fewer drones into the action phase. They've tried to play in behind the Monty. As you said, they've just gone straight to side. And it can be a valid way of dealing with those roamers. Just cut them out of the game, but it hasn't worked for them. You've got to be careful if you're going to cut them out that you don't allow them to carve their way back in. And that is exactly what the roamers of Talon are sort of doing, just hassling on the flanks. They still haven't dealt with Ryder underneath, who now, with the man advantage, can just stay there for the entire round and just lock it in. It's going to make it very, very difficult for them. Too easy there for JLT to pick up cameraman Royboy with one as well. 2 versus 3. This is ending up closer than I would have expected, to be honest with you, Des.
I've got so much to say about this, but we'll talk about it in a second once the round is over. We're down to the last 10 seconds, and Dots is going to try and get in the back corner here, planting with the shield on his back.
Nothing that Ryder can do there.
Ryder's on the downstairs. Yeah, he might be able to see him from the back of this one, but trying to actually find the Monty is going to be the brother. Just a 1v2 left for Ryder. It's all to do for him. You're against the Monty, Tim. This kind of situation is so hard to win.
In a 2v1, it's practically impossible because you're going to have Dots now just feeding you information, telling where you're coming from. Maya steps around, gets the kill. Great round from Lost there, you've got to say, but mistakes made by Talon. They had everything in hand.
I was dying to talk about this. How the hell did the Monty manage to work his way in towards Pit?
JLT's just stood there
through
in the corner.
rotation. The thing is that the Froster's missed him as well. He's been staring at the window.
He's too worried about cameraman coming in through the window.
Chunky boy coming into the left with a shield in front of his face. The two of them have just passed like ships in the night, and I was like, how on earth has this not been picked up by a drone or something or anything? They still managed to come away with it, but it sounds bad. I don't really feel like Lost deserved to win that round. You know, Ryder was doing a lot up on the road.
Talon had everything.
Look at this, look. Oh, I see you're there now. Now I understand what's going on. And Monty should not be winning 2 1v1s like that. That should not be happening in any day or age. But they managed to drag it over the finish line. So fair play to Lost. They got their 5-2. The tactical timeouts in for Talon as well, because very fairly, that really should have been their round to win. Lost were extremely slow.
There's a simple reason why the Monty shouldn't be coming out with 2 kills in that situation, and that is because, you know, where is Monty's weakness? Monty's only weakness, realistically, is his back. That's his weakness. You've got an operator on either side of him, so one of them has to be able to see his back.
That Frost was locked into the window, man.
That's when you can't be losing that situation.
He was dreaming of the great outdoors.
He was. He was, and unfortunately, it didn't pay off. Great play from Lost, you know, nonetheless. We can talk about mistakes all day long, but if those mistakes aren't punished, they don't really matter. You know, you can still go on to win the round with mistakes like that, but Lost were able to get the job done. So well played from them, 5-2. Talon, I think that one's going to hit them hard, to be honest. Their first choice site, they're 5-4 up. They sort of running the show a little bit. They've got Ryder causing a nuisance downstairs. They've got everything they need to win the round, and they are going to feel, you know, that round going away from them. They're going to feel that loss, especially with the Monty coming in. I think, you know, that's where you're going to be asking questions of each other in the, you know, how has that Monty just walked in? What has happened there? And you've got to kind of try and move on from it, but it's a tough one now. 3 rounds down, Lost starting to find their feet. This one could be over quickly.
It's feeling like a little bit tricky for Talon. Again, that reminder, you only have to lose 2 series here in Atlanta in the play-ins for you to be sent home, and you're playing them both today. They play this best of 1, and then the loser of this game and the previous game that we had on this stream, which was CAG, will play against each other later in a best of 3. The loser of that game goes home. The winner plays against another team. That'll be the winner of the upper final, which is a best of 1 played tomorrow. And that will determine ultimately which 2 teams make it out of these groups and which ones, well, go home already. Again, to go home after a couple of days of being in Atlanta, a bit of a stinger. You'd hope you'd have more chance to show yourself, so we've got to see Talon pick it up here in round 8. Now, straight away, Maya in the right sort of idea. He's moving fast. And they had a drone on the man as well. This is the sort of thing that I was hoping to see from both teams, is good droning, looking to push players back. And Ryder, well, he knows he's got to get out of danger, does just that. And now Maya is in control of the hatch like a hawk from above, ready to sink those claws into anyone who steps into the wrong place.
Honestly, I thought we were going to see Maya pick up the kill there. I just knew. I saw the drone go out ahead, and I just thought, I'm not sure if it can get through the attic wall or whether they've got another in there or what, but I just thought there's going to be an opportunity here if that ping comes up. And I don't think that Talon may well know just how lucky they were there not to lose a man. But Misa inside a garage, too easy, gets cut down by Lobin. The problem with playing inside a garage is you're stuck. As soon as the drones start picking you up, there is no way out other than to fight your way out, and he just couldn't get clear.
That's why some teams open a rotation at the top of those stairs onto the north-facing wall, not obviously out through the door, but they open that up so you have the ability to run down through it. But here you can see where Lobin is now. It is still fully closed off. So I had nowhere to go except into garage, and then you are done for. There's 2 doorways to play through. There's the window to worry about. There's players pushing you from lobby. You are screwed from every compass direction you can possibly imagine. Now, Lost do still need to pick up the pace a little bit here. They've still got mirror windows to stare down. They've still got the Guayo canister on side. There's still a lot they have to worry about. So Talon, not out of things just yet.
Opening up the hatches. A little bit short on time, potentially. 45 seconds as cameraman does start to open that meeting hatch. That's going to force them away from pillar and just allow maybe Lost to push down and take a bit of rear side of control. But they do need to be careful here that the seconds and the clock don't get away from them. And they've still got Royboy holding onto that position inside of the little closet there. The little cubby just looking down towards the bottom of laundry where cameraman's going to approach from. Rider manages to pick up dots, and all of a sudden it's 4v4 with 20 seconds left to go, and where Lost looked good at the beginning of this round, you got to say Talon are in command.
They've got smokes and C4 still to play behind as well. This is a disaster for Lost here, who just have not gone fast enough. JLT falls down on one. One's looking the wrong way. In fact, it's the right way, but in comes Lobin, marching his way forward, tries to find his man, but gets shot in through the smoke. It's Sayora, goes down again into a 1 versus 1, and cameraman's got to find his man, but Royboy finds his first. 5 and 3.
Probably closer than it should have been there. 1 versus 1 at the end, and Talon gave them the chance. Cameraman knew where his man was, but just couldn't find that elusive kill that he needed. So that's going to be a round back for Talon. They held on well. They burnt a lot of time. I think part of that was maybe Lost just being a little bit indecisive and a little bit slow there once they'd got those, that opening kill. Just really sort of got, like you said, just got to move a bit quicker. Got to get those hatches open quicker. Got to get down onto site and start pressuring them, because when you've got 15, 20 seconds left to go, there is no choice but to give it the full send at that point and just go in looking for kills.
Obviously, this is maybe unfair to compare these two teams to who may well be one of the eventual major winners. I'm thinking about Sonics when I talk about this. They're a team that I think of that is just ruthless with their time. They know what they want to achieve. Everyone knows what their job is in that motion and that step forwards. Very rarely do you see them running out of time. They're just extremely quick in getting map clearance and dealing with utility, whatever they need to do. Whereas both of these two teams, as I remarked back in that first half for Talon, we're seeing it now for Lost as well. 2 halves to a game of Siege. Both teams are running so low on time efficiency, I think. There's so much time being spent droning and getting set up for an execute, because players aren't always in the optimal position to get hatches opened up, to be ready to push in at a certain time, to drone a certain area of the map. And it's little things like that that, again, although maybe it feels unfair to compare them to eventual major winners, you've got to be as good as those major winners if you're going to beat them later on in the tournament. You've got to see it now, and you've got to see it early, Tim.
You do. I mean, looking at this round now, I could see Talon grabbing another one here. You know, this is where we've, you use the word ruthless. That's what we need to see from Lost now, because let's be honest, they shouldn't have won this round last time. It was down to a Monty walking in and getting 2 pistol kills, going through the rotate. That's something that Talon surely are not going to allow to happen again. So for Lost, you've got to look at it, and I hope they recognise last time, actually, we were caused some problems by the roamers. We were caused some problems by Ryder underneath, and that they worked to clear that out rather than just looking directly at site, because there was a bit of luck that played into them being able to get that success from direct on site.
Yeah, really looking towards those battle cams as well. You saw the Twitch drone racing on through, trying to sniff them all out. A lot of teams tend to be respectful in that case and bring along an IQ just to help sniff those out faster. Again, that time efficiency play comes back into things, but here those vault cams could be a real headache, given there are a couple of C4s to play behind as well.
Worth mentioning as well, we're seeing a bit more gridlock play.
A lot more.
You may well be, thinking, how come we're seeing so much more gridlock play? Well, it's because she's been given nades. So she's got that nades. She's got that extra bit of utility that is pushing her right into that primary choice at the minute. A great choice. Can lock down the flanks with the track stingers. Has got nades, decent gun, and is got the super shorty as well. Can make those lines of sight, and is looking like a very viable option.
Another impact comes out. Good. It means wall can open up. Perfect. But underneath, they've got the impacts available. No, they do not. Wall is opened up. Bit of C4 out from Beezer underneath. Almost finds one. A little bit of tickle damage onto Dots, actually, who was a little bit late to the party. Thank God, does not lose his life as a result. Now, Lost have got this Monty on site again, as we've already remarked. Hopefully, he isn't called upon to get a couple of kills, but look at the two players playing downstairs for Talon as well. C4's in the back pocket of one, Impact's in the other. They've got a lot of tools to disrupt this plant if Lost aren't respectful of that.
Royboy just going to be playing in behind the bunks there. Important position. Just going to be able to fight this angle onto Trophy Door. Needs to make sure that he doesn't lose his life. He's going to be feeding that information in. JLT's going to take a bunch of damage from a nade there, but does manage to keep himself locked in the pit for the time being. He's not focusing the wrong direction this time, so that's going to be good at least for Talon. Diffuser is going down. Dot's in a position to do that. Beautiful cover. Look at that from Maya. Finds one. Steps in, picks up Ryder, round done, triple for Maya towards the end there, and Lost, they get themselves on to match point.
Just, they knew everything that was coming that round. It was all droned out, they knew where the players were, they knew what the set of sequences were going to be once they had that diffuser start going down, and they were just ready, and they won the critical gunfights most importantly. I guess admittedly, when you're trying to plant on concrete, it's hard to make a C4. If you turn it inside out, and then you grab the top corners inside it, and then grab the corners of your duvet and shake it down, do you do that? Is that what you do to do it? So the shake it down is a really effective method to get a duvet done.
Yeah, it is.
This feels like an inside duvet sheet.
I'm not a big fan of making the bed. What? It's a job I do try to avoid. Why? It's one of those where I'll busy myself doing something else and I'll sort of shout to my wife, can you just put the bedding on? Because I don't know, I just hate doing it.
My missus will wash it without telling me and then go, can you put the bedding on? I'm just like,
she's winning that game. And I'm telling you now, she's like me, she hates doing it.
She does the pillows like she's done some impossible task, and then it's like, you can do the rest. I'm just like, what?
There you go. And that is me. That is me through and through. I will find anything else to busy myself. Be like, oh, can you make the bed while I'm doing this? Come on, I'm doing loads over here.
Right, we've got to get into focus. One last question. Do you make your bed before you leave the hotel room every morning?
No, I'm not always a big bed maker.
Right, okay. I'm judging you more than you know right now.
I'm sure plenty of people are.
Round 10, in we go. As a reminder, Lost are up 6-3. Thank you for sticking with us through the tech pause. Things are underway, and this could be where Lost secure their 7-3, or Talon would start what would be a heroic comeback here, an angelic comeback, Tim, with 3 rounds on the bounce to send us into overtime.
Well, it'll be something if they do manage to pull it off. But as you say, something's going to have to change because right now Lost are in the driving seat. And look, this is what I love to see. Look, they're moving with confidence now. Dash straight up there, bang. He's got the information. He's going in behind the drone. Camera goes down. He's got himself in position, and he's started on that top floor clearance. We're only sort of 40 seconds in. No messing about. Maya picks up Seora, and this is looking good for Lost.
Maya's 16-4, man. I didn't even see how many kills he was on.
Hell of a game.
Just unbelievable.
Which you'll be happy with, as a Dem.
Absolutely delighted. I mean, him and Dots equally have been absolutely unbelievable. I think Loban had a DC as well. She can see his stats have reset, but we bear with it. We move forward. At this point, they've marched to the top floor in the similar amount of time that it took Talon to back in round 1, if you recall. 90 seconds to really get control of top floor. Here, they've not only got control of top floor, but they've killed 2 players and saved 20 seconds off the clock. That is the kind of attacking efficiency that I was talking about. Dots.
Real opportunity there for Misa to maybe pick one up inside of Attic. Can't find his man though, but Royboy does elsewhere, taking Maya down. They really needed Misa to win that fight against Dots though, as Dots just maintains that man advantage. Cameraman 4 versus 1 now as he picks up JLT, and this is surely looking to be over for Talon in their first major matchup against Lost. Royboy, he's doing what he can. He's ducking, weaving. He takes a beautiful shot, rips the head off Cameraman to bring us to a 1 versus 3. The problem is that the diffuser goes down at exactly the same time. Royboy cut down inside of the lobby, and that is going to be Lost taking their first victory here in Atlanta.
Very convincing second half performance. That first one caught off a couple of times by Talon, but this, I think, was the expected outcome that pretty much